Social Affairs editor Alison Holt reporting there. Well, in the US, the head of the FBI has claimed it is most likely that COVID-19 originated from a leak from a Chinese government-controlled lab in Wuhan. China has accused the FBI of politicizing the investigation into the origins of coronavirus and says there has been no new scientific evidence to support the theory. Other US agencies believe that the virus developed naturally. Our North America correspondent John Sudworth reports.
Suspicions have long swirled around Wuhan's laboratories. Now, 3 years after the start of the pandemic, they've burst into the open once again.
The FBI has for quite some time now assessed that the origins of the pandemic are most likely a potential lab incident in Wuhan. Here you're talking about a potential leak from a Chinese government-controlled lab that killed millions of Americans.
From the start, many scientists believed that COVID had passed naturally from animals to humans. Some of the first cases were centered around this Wuhan market known to sell wildlife. But with Wuhan's laboratories known to have been collecting samples from bats and experimenting on coronaviruses, there's an alternative possibility that a researcher became accidentally infected with the virus they were working on.
It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate.
But the theory's close association with Donald Trump made it for many one more piece of disinformation, and it was widely dismissed. For the past 3 years, in China, in Europe, and now in America, I've been investigating the question of COVID's origin. Some scientists claim that the lab leak theory has been convincingly debunked, but others say that in the absence of better evidence to rule it out, they want the possibility to remain firmly on the table. The World Health Organization team that travelled to Wuhan in 2021 concluded that it was extremely unlikely that the virus leaked from a lab. But there were concerns about China's political management of the inquiry, something one member of that team acknowledged in an interview for our upcoming podcast series.
It's difficult to know where the science ends and where the politics starts. So you can have heated debate about a lot of different details, and you don't know if there is political influence.
Well, the lab leak theory is China, it's clear, never wanted journalists asking questions about the origin of COVID, and there appears to be very little hope of any further cooperation with international efforts to look for answers. But in America, there's renewed interest. The Biden administration has given the lab leak theory fresh impetus, and a new Republican-controlled Congress has willingly picked up the baton.
The Select Committee will come to order. This is an existential struggle over what life will look like in the 21st century.
Despite the FBI's public comments, the US intelligence agencies remain divided. With little hard evidence, many fear one of the biggest questions of our time, where did COVID come from, may never be convincingly answered. John Sudworth, BBC News, New York.